And a most difficult assignment as a whole for the Nuggets because Tim Duncan, the Admiral, David Robinson healthy, Sean Elliott healthy, and a very good San Antonio Spurs team.
Now we'll take a look at the Toyota starting lineups. Here the matchup. Sean Elliott is healthy again. Tim Duncan, the first pick in the entire draft, and he was sensational during the preseason. David Robinson also well again off the back strain of a year ago and foot surgery. David Robinson against Tony Battie, and that is our budget rental car tip-off. And David Robinson controls it. Avery Johnson on a wing gives to Sean Elliott. He'll be checked by Eric Williams. Ryan Stiff and Vinny Del Negro, they know each other very well. 10 on the shot clock and a foul immediately on Dean Garrett. He got a piece of the ball, but also a piece of David Robinson's arm. So the Admiral will go to the line. And while David does that, we'll take a look at tonight's Centura Health injury report. And I think everybody around the league pleased that David Robinson is healthy again with San Antonio. He is so good for the game of basketball. And San Antonio was a 20-win team without him the year before they won 59 games. Chuck Purse and Charles Smith are out. LaFonso Ellis feels much better. He's been practicing, but he will sit the first 5 out of the regular season. Robinson goes 1 of 2. Here's Williams slashing to the hole. He gets the roll. Actually, Dean Garrett put it back down, and we'll see who they give the bucket to. I thought that was almost offensive interference.
It was, and the Nuggets were very lucky that that basket counted.
Robinson kicks to Avery Johnson, a reluctant shooter, and the Nuggets will have it as Stiff goes up with Sean Elliott.
That's the shot you want San Antonio to take. Avery Johnson, not great range on the jump shot. Make him shoot the ball from the outside.
Eric Williams got credit for the bucket. Bobby Jackson misses, and the rebound. As the Nuggets are on the floor, the crowd will appreciate that. But Dean Garrett was out of bounds, so San Antonio will have it. The Nuggets lead 2-1 in the early going.
And Drew, that time the Nuggets came down and took a shot without a pass. That's not how you play the passing game.
And that's not what they practice. They want to practice the passing game, up-tempo the game. You can't shoot the ball first time down.
Robinson alone from 12 feet away, and his shot goes 14. Never good when a 12-footer goes 14. There's Jackson against Avery Johnson. He has a great first step. Dean Garrett from the free throw line. Del Negro pulls down the board.
There you see another second shot. They're not moving the ball. Bill Hansley wants them to run the passing game. That means passing the ball, moving, getting your legs under you early in the game.
Minute and a half in, San Antonio still looking for their first field goal. And a blocking foul on Eric Williams. Called by Joe Forti. Bruce Alexander and Greg Willard along with Forti tonight.
And right now the Nuggets defense is doing a great job keeping the ball out of the middle. 3 jump shots for San Antonio. They haven't gotten the ball inside once.
Del Negro from point-blank range drops one through. Vinny Del Negro in his 8th year out of North Carolina State.
This is what Coach Hansley wants. Well, that's not what he wants. He wants them to move the ball. That was an ill-advised shot.
Garrett got the offensive rebound. Here's Battie trying to go to work. Turnaround, got it down. First shot of his NBA career. An impressive turnaround jumper for the Nuggets' top choice. Here's Duncan trying to return the favor. The Nuggets will double him. Good movement by San Antonio, and the free man was Avery Johnson.
And if the Spurs are able to hit that shot, the Nuggets defense is in trouble. They got a good double team, but San Antonio swung the ball from one side to the other.
Here's Battie. Second shot climbs over the lid. Tony Battie, 2 of 2, 4 points, and Avery Johnson turns it over.
And we've already seen more defense out of the Nuggets than we saw all last season. Bobby Jackson is going to frustrate a lot of veteran point guards in this league. They're used to getting the ball inbound and bringing it up 3/4 court without pressure. Bobby's pressures him from baseline to baseline.
Dan, I know you wanted to wait at least 2 or 3 minutes to utter that line. Stiff was fouled as he went up. and Vinny Del Negro will pick up the personal. 6-5, Denver leading by 1. And talk about turnovers, Alex. Playing a pressure defense, the Nuggets will cause more turnovers. A year ago, they were dead last in the NBA in forcing turnovers.
And in a passing game, they have to force the turnovers. And the game plan tonight is when the ball goes into the big man, they're going to double down. You're going to see Bobby Jackson go down and double down on the big men. And that's what they've got to do. They've got to force the pressure.
8-5, the Nuggets by 3. One thing's clear about Bobby Jackson. He is not involved anybody. There's Dean Garrett, nearly had the steal. And now 10 to shoot it for San Antonio. Duncan left alone, fires, and Stiff has the loose basketball. 4-on-4, Brian Stiff all the way in, reverse layup's no good. And now it's a 3-on-1. Del Negro. And Bobby Jackson has it taken away by Eric Williams.
Now is a good time for them to come down and run the passing game. Get the ball moving.
They just did a good thing there, Alex. They took the ball from one side of the floor to the other. Make the defense adjust, not just stand still.
Williams goes in, draws contact, and he will go to the strike. And one thing, Alex, that he did in the preseason, and he did this with Boston, he demonstrated an ability to get to the line.
Drew, that's the one thing I like about Eric Williams. He's very good inside. He's got a real, one of those awkward types of games that just draws fouls, and that's what he's doing tonight.
Williams in his 3rd year out of Providence. One of 11 trades that Alan Bristow has made since taking over as general manager last February.
And this might be the best one because they got a starting small forward. It's more than likely going to lead this team in scoring, at least till Fonz gets back, and they gave up 2 second-round picks to get him.
The foul, by the way, was on the Admiral, David Robinson. He needs help. 9 to shoot it. Elliott just inside 3-point range, and that goes out of bounds.
Drew, the Nuggets are making the San Antonio Spurs shoot outside shots. That's what they want. Those are low percentage shots.
Yeah, you're exactly right. They're 2 of 7 from the field. That's about 29%.
10-5, the Nuggets leading. The Nuggets at 38%. Here's Bobby Jackson. That was a bit of a force. And Bobby has the loose ball. And then he boots it to David Robinson. Avery Johnson one-on-one. Eric Williams back. Avery missed the shot. He was looking for the whistle. Stiff for 3. Well, it's up-tempo.
Yeah, the tempo is exactly where Bill wants it. They just got to start making some shots.
Robinson has yet to score a field goal. He has 1 point. Nuggets by 5.
As long as the San Antonio Spurs keeps missing those shots, it's good for the Nuggets.
Eric Williams, the basket. You know, he has a wide body, Dan.
He really does, and as you took a look at it, the San Antonio Spurs are going to have to get help. Sean Elliott cannot guard Eric Williams all by himself. You see the wide body, takes the ball up, forces the contact, gets the basket and the free throw.
Danny Fortson, another one of the Nuggets' #1 choices, comes in for Tony Battie. Danny Fortson chosen 10th in the first round, and Battie was 5th in the first round. Battie, a choice of the Nuggets. Fortson, a draft day trade. He was selected by Milwaukee. 3-point play by Eric Williams. So he has 7, and the Nuggets lead 13-5. Duncan against Fortson, and the problem that affected Danny Fortson in 8 preseason games affects him in his first 5 seconds on the floor. A reach-in foul. We'll step aside for a moment. The Nuggets off early. They lead San Antonio 13-5 at Big Mac. The Nuggets lead by 8, 13-5. Along with the 2 Hall of Famers, Alex English and Dan Issel. I'm Drew Goodman. Into Robinson, and Dean Garrett now has bought his 2nd foul. Called by Greg Willard.
And Dean, you saw him raise his hand trying to talk Bill Hanslick into leaving him in the game. But with 2 personal fouls, and we haven't even made it halfway through the first quarter, Dean's going to have to take a seat.
Well, Alex, there's one guy who stays in the league when he has 2 fouls in the first 5 minutes of the game, and that's Michael Jordan.
That's right. He can do that.
Yeah.
He's the only one.
So Priest Lauderdale, or Fort Lauderdale if you prefer, at 7'4" and 300 or so pounds comes in. Robinson gets Priest in the air, and then Priest knocks him into the support.
Drew, that's a tough matchup for Drew. David Robinson is very quick. He shoots the jump shot. He can take him inside, and in this time he took him inside.
Well, the one thing you can't do on Robinson is that far out on the floor, you cannot leave your feet defensively. David Robinson will own you if you do. I think we're seeing the Achilles heel of the San Antonio Spurs, if they have any at all. It's their free throw shooting, Drew. Only 62.5% during the preseason, and so far Robinson's at 50%, 2 of 4.
And there's got to be some rust on David Robinson's game. He played all of 6 games a year ago. Here's Bobby Jackson going to the hole. Good lead for Lauderdale. And it comes out to Stith. Nuggets by 7. Danny Fortson his first look. So Bateen and Fortson hit their opening NBA shot.
And Alex, I would say so far your second key. Don't be odd to this team. The young Nugget rookies are not.
I agree with you, Dan.
Off the miss by Johnson. Here's a baseball pass, Bobby Jackson.
That is a shot that the Nuggets can't have. They've got to come down and push the ball, run the offense. That means the passing game.
15-6, San Antonio cannot hit the broad side of the ocean. 2 of 11.
And the reason is they're settling for jump shots rather than getting the ball inside and taking advantage of those 2 7-footers.
Vinny knocks it out of bounds. 8 seconds for the Nuggets to get one up. Johnny Newman will come in. And you talk about some of the trades Alan Bristow has made and the very good one for Eric Williams. I like the trade for Johnny Newman.
Johnny Newman is going to be a great addition to this team. He's an experienced veteran. He's a scorer, and he's great in this passing game.
And he is a guy that generally will play close to 82 games a year. Eric Williams needs to get it in. Find the big man, Lauderdale. And Priest misses. Tim Duncan looking for a guard. Off to Del Negro now. 15-6, Denver by 9. Duncan, and that is his first NBA basket.
Once again, the help late getting there for Denver, and that's a tough matchup for Fortson on the baseline.
He's going to give away about 6 inches. Williams slashes, no good. He gets the roll. But Priest almost put a finger on that. Priest can touch the rim standing flat-footed. Williams with 9 in the game. He leads all scorers. 4:40 to go in the opening quarter. The Nuggets leading 17-8. David Robinson, no whistle. Fortson was anticipating the whistle. Jackson all the way in. There's a foul on Avery Johnson. And the crowd appreciates the tempo of play. It's not pretty yet, but Alex, it's been effective because San Antonio, Tim Duncan, one possession, didn't make it past half court. He was tired.
He was tired. They've been very effective. And Bobby Jackson is the perfect person for this. He's pushing the ball up the floor. And Avery Johnson, being that this is a rookie, he doesn't know how to play him just yet.
And takes the intentional foul. Going to make Jackson earn the 2 points from the free throw line.
Bobby was a pretty good free throw shooter in college. He was the Big Ten Player of the Year as well as being the Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year.
Like I said earlier, Drew, he's been the steal in the draft this year.
A lot of people would agree with that. The Nuggets are perfect from the line, 7 of 7. They have a double-digit lead, 19-8. Pick and roll with Duncan. And Duncan goes to his offhand and finger rolls it through.
And Drew, that's the second play in a row that the Nuggets have double-teamed Avery Johnson off the pick and roll and let the roller wide open. That can't happen because Avery can't hurt you from out there.
And that is not the game plan.
Fortson stays with it. And inside, the Nuggets had 3 opportunities. 3-on-1 for the Spurs. Off to Del Negro. And he buries the 16-footer.
You know, Del Negro had a terrible preseason, Drew. Shot 38% from the field, averaged about 4.5 points. He's a much better player than that, and you can't let him have too many open looks at the basket.
Will Perdue is checked in for San Antonio. He leans on Priest Lauderdale.
There's no offensive rebounding for the Nuggets there.
And Perdue all alone underneath, and Bill Hanslick is fired up. First time this year. We knew it wouldn't take that long. Bill wants a timeout. San Antonio, with 6 unanswered points, are within 5. 3:18 to go in the opening quarter, the opening game of the year. The Nuggets 19, San Antonio 14. Yes, we will have more on that in a little while. Anthony Goldwire is into the basketball game. Johnny Newman off a screen. That's way off, and Tim Duncan chases it down. Nuggets by 5, and there's a steal by Newman. 4-on-2 the other way. Monty Williams gets back. Fortson posted up, has it against Del Negro. That's a matchup the Nuggets like. He gives it to Newman for 3. Johnny Newman from the new old 3-point line, Dan.
And that was great ball movement by the Nuggets. They realized the double team, kicked it out across court to the open man, and Newman buried it.
8-point lead for the Nuggets. The 3-point line out a couple of more feet to where it used to be. More than 23 feet away. Tim Duncan's fouled.
Drew, the game plan here is when the big men get it inside, it's for the point guard to go down and double, and everybody else rotates on defense. And that's what the Nuggets have to do to contain those big men inside. They have been ineffective so far.
And the reason that they're double teaming off of the point guard is because the least likely outside shooter on the floor for San Antonio is Avery Johnson.
Duncan, the consensus player of the year in college basketball last season. You know, it's interesting, for the first time in NBA history, as you look at his preseason numbers, he led the team with those 15 points. San Antonio has 3 former John Wooden Award winners in Tim Duncan, David Robinson, and Sean Elliott. 22-15, Nuggets by 7. The T back in there. Johnny Newman on a slash to the hole.
That's a great play. The Nuggets got something inside. Last time they had a jump shot from the outside. This time Johnny Newman went inside.
Johnson has it stolen by the T, kicked out of bounds. And they are saying it's San Antonio basketball. Eric Williams will step out. Brian Stith back in.
Take another look at that, but T, good anticipation. And it sure looks like Duncan was the one who swiped at it and knocked it out of bounds.
Good hustle by the Nuggets. Will Perdue can't chase it down. The Nuggets will have it. Leading by 9 with 1:53 to go in the opening quarter.
And what's happening here is exactly what Bill Hanslick predicted a couple of days ago, and that is that this club is going to sneak up on some people. I don't think San Antonio had any idea they would come in here and in the first quarter get this kind of battle from the Nuggets.
A whole lot of effort by the Nuggets, and they are playing the up-tempo style that Bill Hanslick swore they would play. Nuggets with 6 to shoot it. Bad decision by Fortson. Avery Johnson.
And did a great job of getting back on defense.
You're right, Anthony Goldwire was the man who cut off the layup. Monty Williams with it. And the former Notre Dame star misses. Carl Herrera gets it up and in. Carl Herrera now in his 7th year out of the University of Houston. Another Nugget turnover. And a reach in on Goldwire. This is something that plagued the Nuggets in the preseason, Dan. And Alex, you guys talked about it off the top.
That was one of the keys. They have to cut down on their turnovers. Bobby Jackson led the team in turnovers during preseason. That's something that they have to work very hard on not doing, turning the ball over.
And tonight, the Nuggets 2 in a row, but up till that point, had done a pretty good job. If they can average 3 turnovers a quarter, that would be terrific.
Bill Hanslick would be very, very happy with that.
Avery Johnson, who throughout his career has struggled at the line. Maybe one of the 3 or 4 most likable players in the NBA.
He's a terrific kid, and saw kind of a strange thing, Alex. He started his shot and then stops it right about shoulder height and then continues, kind of unorthodox.
Very unorthodox.
Joe Wolf out there now for the Nuggets. The Nuggets lead by 5. Petit against Herrera, turnaround, tough angle, and it comes to Carl Herrera. I knew that was dangerous when I saw Carl Herrera bringing it up the floor. Newman all alone, he gets the uncontested dunk.
Drew, you're seeing a lot of hustle out of the Nuggets. They got back on defense, they stopped the play, stole the ball, got the ball down to Johnny Davis for the easy 2.
Johnny Newman,
I'm sorry.
He reminded me a lot of the way Alex used to play. Not get back defensively. He'd say they'll be back this way pretty soon.
Thank you, Dan.
So that's how you scored 20-some-odd thousand points, huh? 15 seconds on the game clock, 12 on the shot clock. The entry pass to Herrera, back to Avery Johnson. The Nuggets will let Avery shoot the basketball, generally speaking. One to get it off, good if it goes, and it's wide right. But all in all, a very solid opening quarter for the young Nuggets. They lead San Antonio 26-21 from McNichols Arena. 26-21, the Nuggets lead at the end of 1 by 5. They begin the second quarter with Anthony Goldwire on the floor, Brian Stith, Tony Petit, Johnny Newman, and the veteran Joe Wolf. Corey Alexander has come in at the point for San Antonio. Will Perdue, Carl Herrera, Sean Elliott, Monty Williams. Goldie pulls up, and that barely grazed the iron.
And that was a set play that time, a double pick to get Goldwire the open jump shot. A little more distance.
What effect do you think the new three-point line will have?
Well, I guess it's going to show a lot of guys that they're not real three-point shooters. You know, we've got a lot of guys that took a lot of shots last year that didn't make shots, that made shots, but it's 3 feet further back this year.
Joe Wolf picked up the foul. Let's take a look at the first quarter numbers. Neither team really lit it up from the perimeter. I think nerves and a little bit of rust also, because the preseason is one thing, Dan. The regular season is a whole different deal.
Absolutely. The number I like on there, Drew, is that the fact that the Nuggets out-rebounded San Antonio by 3. I mean, San Antonio is an outstanding rebounding team. If the Nuggets can stay with them on the board, they'll stay with them in the game.
Those numbers brought to you by Pizza Hut. 26-22 as Will Perdue goes 1 of 2. And will they count it? Yes. Brian Stith.
That's a big part of the passing game. Driving to the hoop. You saw Brian Stith get the ball on the wing and drove the ball to the basket. Got the easy basket. It wasn't an easy basket. Got a tough basket. But that's important in the passing game. You've got to get some stuff going to the basket.
And Brian struggled during the preseason with his shooting, just 35% from the floor, Alex. And that's a good way to get out of that shooting slump, is to don't settle for the outside jumper. Take the ball to the hole.
28-22 Denver. Alexander against Goldwire. And Johnny Newman knocks it away momentarily from Elliott. Now the double team comes. 5 to shoot it for the Spurs. Monty Williams lost it. And
Nuggets did a good job. They did a good job defensively. They rotated, they doubled down, they rotated.
Great effort by Brian Stith. He double teamed in the left-hand corner and then got all the way across the floor to cause the turnover.
Stith in deep. Now Newman. Oh, good look. Joe Wolf to Johnny Newman. They played together before in Milwaukee and also Charlotte.
Johnny Newman showing you he knows how to play the game of basketball. As soon as he saw he wasn't guarded, he made a hard cut to the basket.
Perdue to Monty Williams. Herrera the rebound. Nuggets by 8, 30-22. Opening moments of quarter number 2. Shot clock at 8. Sean Elliott dips inside, tapped that by Purdue, and they're going to count the basket. They're going to say interference.
Yeah, on the tip by Purdue, not the second shot that he caught and laid in, but on the tip, Joe Wolf hit the ball after the ball hit the glass.
So the bucket goes to Purdue. Nuggets leading 30-24. Tough shot by now Johnny Newman, and he nearly had it back. Alexander with it.
The Nuggets are having a tough time with the passing game. They seem a little sluggish in it. Some guys seem like they don't know where to go after they've made the pass. They've got to get more consistent with the passing game.
Isn't that an offense that really takes a long time to work out because you have to have familiarity with one another?
You're right. It takes a long time. I know when we run the passing game, we had a lot of veterans. We worked very hard at it. We were very committed to it. And it takes a lot of commitment when you're running this type of offense.
Illegal defense that time by Brian Stith, who left his man but didn't go all the way to the double team, just got caught in between men.
Bobby Jackson back out on the floor for the Nuggets. Herrera.
That should have been a foul there.
I would say so.
That should have been a foul on David Robinson.
The T posting up, poked away by Herrera. Nuggets did a great job, Dan, the first 7-8 minutes taking care of the basketball. They've been a little sloppy the last few.
Well, and that's gonna come as a little bit of fatigue sets in, and you know, adrenaline. When the adrenaline stops flowing, then you get tired a lot quicker.
Newman on a reach-in with 4 seconds left on the shot clock. That's number 1 on Johnny.
And the Nugget line number 15, Andy Fortson. He replaces number 4, Tony Battini.
I think one thing, probably many things, but one thing the Nuggets did in revamping this team is they got far more athletic. More players with the ability to get to the hole, more players who can move their feet defensively.
And Hanslick is substituting freely, trying to keep fresh people on the floor all the time.
Yes, he used his whole bench that time, this first quarter.
Alexander misses. Big rebound for Fortson. Brian Stiff, the runner, no good. David Robinson above everybody. Nuggets lead 30-24. Been locked in on that for a couple of minutes. That's about unstoppable.
Yeah, the foot in the back has looked pretty good. He was way above the rim for the rebound on the Nuggets. Bobby Jackson hits a jumper, and the Nuggets needed that one. San Antonio within 4.
Great defense by Bobby Jackson that time. That should have been a charge.
And Johnny Newman's hurt. He's down on the floor. Sean Elliott hits the shot, but he drove his shoulder right into the San Antonio Spur when he was going for the loose basketball. Jim Gillen, the Nuggets trainer, will be out to attend to him. Halloween night, and for the first time in a while, the NBA opens before the month of November, and the Nuggets all time have been very, very good in October. 18-1 in October all time. That's our superfluous fact of the night. Johnny Newman went to the bench. He appears to be okay. Bruised shoulder, did not go to the locker room, so hopefully he'll be back in there. Priest Lauderdale steps back in, and the rebound to Brian Stith. Nuggets lead by 4. Eric Williams against Sean Elliott. He had a good first quarter. Tim Duncan back out there for San Antonio. Robinson, quick move. Priest Lauderdale, I believe, will pick up the foul.
And Robinson a lot more active this second shift. The first time he was out on the floor, he did look a little rusty, but now you see him get the ball, spin on Lauderdale, baseline, go up, And you know what? The Nuggets were, no, I guess nobody touched it. I thought that somebody touched the ball after it hit the backboard. Robinson, it's his third miss from the free throw line already.
It's 2 of 5. Dean Garrett will come back for Priest Lauderdale. I noticed you said his second shift. I know you've been watching a lot of hockey, Dan. It's coming out.
Only the shifts don't come quite as quick in this game.
No. David Robinson now 2 of 6. So that will go down in the book as a good foul on Priest Lauderdale. 32-28. The Nuggets by 4. Stiff trying to knock away Vinny Del Negro. Five to shoot it for Denver. Jackson under duress. Knocks down the 18-footer.
That was a great shot by Jackson.
6 for Bobby J. 34-28. Monty Williams around Eric Williams, rejected inside, and Monty gets it back.
And Bill Hanslick upset. The defenders on the perimeter stood and watched and let the Spurs get a second shot and put it back in.
Screen and roll with Fortson for Jackson.
The Nuggets have gone to their set offense now.
Oh, great move. Great move. Eric Williams, but it was partially blocked. Del Negro to Monty Williams. Finger roll will count. And they're going to call the block on Danny Fortson, and that is 3 on Fortson.
And isn't this the new rule where Fortson is inside the dotted circle? See where he is inside the dotted circle. You could not take a charge. That's a new rule. You cannot take a charge inside the dotted circle, and that's exactly where Fortson is standing.
That dotted circle is new this year. It was not drawn up in the paint before, and I guess that's another way to open up the lane a little bit, Alex.
Another way to open up the lane, and you also had a lot of guys on defense getting caught underneath the basket and expecting the charge. Now they've marked the floor. Players know where they can be and can't be before they get the call.
The Spurs, down by as many as 11 in the first quarter, are within 1. Brian Stiff, line drive jumper. B has a half dozen. Duncan to Robinson. Taken away by Eric Williams. Nuggets have a 3-on-3. Jackson to Garrett. Bobby Jackson kisses her off the ground.
That's what's made Bobby Jackson the player that everybody's trying to trade to get now. He's very aggressive. He can score. He rebounds. He does everything on the floor. He's sort of like a Fat Lever, a reincarnation of Fat Lever who used to play here with the Nuggets.
Maybe not quite as tall, but Bobby Jackson has had an impressive first half. He has 8 points, and he's played strong defense. 38-33, the Nuggets on the right side of the ledger. With 5:02 to go in the second quarter, the Nuggets leading San Antonio 38-33. Drew Goodman, Alex English, Dan Issel. Glad you're along tonight on KWGN Channel 2. And you guys had stopped by the house earlier, and I was showering. I couldn't get to the door in time. So here's your candy.
Thank you, Drew.
Well, thank you very much. No trick for you.
You're welcome. You guys were dressed very nice. Tallest trick-or-treaters in the neighborhood, though. Bill Hanslick was flying for 3 seconds, and it paid off. Dan, did you find that when you coached? If you yelled loud enough and long enough, finally you get a whistle?
I can't remember him ever paying any attention to me.
Dan, did you pay attention to Dan when you played with him?
I paid a lot of attention to Dan because, he was a senior guy on the team.
You're way too kind, by a lot.
San Antonio now is applying some pressure to the Nuggets, making it difficult for them to get their set offense going now.
Avery Johnson picks up his second. 4:34 to go in the quarter. Avery Johnson last year missed 6 ball games. Actually, you know what? It's on Vinny Del Negro. Johnson missed 6 ball games last year. He had a streak of 280 straight games played.
But he was the only San Antonio Spur that played more than 60 games last year. Shows you what kind of injury problems they had.
Nuggets with 10 to shoot it. Jackson, tough shot, and Tim Duncan has the basketball.
Nuggets got back on defense.
Malik Rose on the floor, 31 for San Antonio. Robinson to turnaround, and he is just way off. Just 1 of 6 from the floor. Good idea by Brian Stith. Eric Williams couldn't hold on.
And you know, the San Antonio Spurs are playing right into the defense of the Denver Nuggets when they have David Robinson taking jump shots from 12, 15 feet away from the basket.
You would think they would have a big size advantage inside.
Well, sure they do, but they're not taking advantage of going inside. Even when they do go inside, like that time, Tim Duncan caught the ball way off the low block but was still able to bank it home.
Joe Wolf picks up number 2. They're going to give it to Bobby Jackson on the reach-in.
See, even when Duncan caught the ball, he was still a good 12, 15 feet away from the basket, puts it on the floor and banks it home, but misses the opportunity for the three-point play.
Duncan's 1 of 3 from the line, and David Robinson 2 of 6. Not good. Not good. Nuggets by 3. Jackson trying to back down Avery Johnson. And he draws contact, and he'll go to the line. The thing that impresses me the most about Bobby Jackson, and it was like this from game 1 in the preseason, he has an air of confidence about him.
He really does. He's going against a veteran point guard in Avery Johnson. No help from the Spurs. They're going to let Johnson play Jackson straight up on the low post, and Bobby's got some moves down.
He's a little bit older in terms of rookies. Most rookies come in, they're about 16 years old, but Bobby comes in, he's 24. He spent a couple of years at a junior college before matriculating at the University of Minnesota.
Drew, this is one of the key matchups in the game. Bobby Jackson against Avery Johnson. Avery Johnson is a tough veteran, very smart, but you see an air of confidence, like Dan said, in Bobby Jackson. He's not afraid, no fear. He's coming down, he's posting up. He's playing a tough game.
He's out playing Avery Johnson right now. 40-35, Denver by 5. Duncan, and the wild pass, trying to get it to Malik Rose.
And that's one of the holes in Tim Duncan's game. He had 3.5 turnovers a game during the preseason. That's a very high number for a big man who plays on the low post.
Tony Battie, Eric Williams on the post up against Rose. Oh, what a great pass. Dean Garrett lost it. Robinson turns it over.
That was the double team that Bill Hanslick has told his men they've got to do tonight. They've got to double the big man down low.
Battie kept the pass. Oh, what a beautiful pass that was. Eric Williams to Tony Battie.
Eric Williams drives, gets Robinson up in the air, and a nice little drop-off pass. Battie, even though he's fouled, takes it up strong, kisses it off the glass, and now he'll have an opportunity for the three-point play.
Vinny Del Negro picked up his 3rd foul. David Robinson checks out. Sean Elliott is back in.
Drew, you see a lot of confidence in the 2 rookies that are in the game for the Nuggets tonight. Battie, Jackson, they're both. They've got an air of confidence that's very important. They're not in awe.
Avery Johnson was not in awe of...
Yeah, Bobby made a mistake there. He reached on Avery Johnson, and that's what you can't do is let Avery get to the hoop, and Bobby took a gamble and he lost.
One of the keys that we didn't mention was that you can't let Avery Johnson drive the ball down the hoop, and that's what happened to Bobby Jackson that last play down.
How about Eric Williams? Misses the shot, gets his own offensive rebound. And that was another area the Nuggets really excelled in the preseason, going to the offensive glass.
Well, Williams, again, gets Elliott up in the air, off the glass, but he doesn't stop. He keeps going right after it, never assuming it's going to go in, and as a result, he'll have 2 free throws.
Malik Rose had the foul.
Eric Williams was another one of those steals that Alan Bristow made during the summer. I was very surprised to see Boston Celtics give him up.
He was their 1st-round pick, 14th selection overall 3 years ago out of Providence. And last year he shot 46%, as you just saw, and averaged 15 points a game. And the Nuggets got him first song.
And he's leading the Nuggets, led the Nuggets in scoring during the preseason. And he's continuing that pace here tonight.
Elliott for three. And San Antonio will hold on to it. Tony Battie and Tim Duncan went up for it, and it went off of Battie. 1:46 to go before halftime. The exception of a 1-0 lead, the Nuggets have led throughout the game. San Antonio scored the first point. That's it. Monty Williams outside, Malik Rose, and Malik Rose with his first bucket, second-year player out of Drexel.
And just a mix-up there defensively for the Nuggets. Rose rolled to the basket, and neither defender went with it.
Fortson had a mid on it. San Antonio kicked it out of bounds. A bonus opportunity for Denver.
And another turnover for Tim Duncan. That's one of the things Dan mentioned about him. He has got to work on not turning the ball over for the Spurs. But then he's a rookie.
Eric Williams might have gotten away with a step or two. 13 for Williams. Avery misses the layup. Fortson gave it right to Sean Elliott.
Nuggets were fortunate on that play. That's the one thing they can't let Avery Johnson do, drive down the hoop.
And see how smart Avery Johnson is. The minute he got that basketball, he realized they were under 24 seconds in the half, and so he pulled it out, and he's going for one shot.
Off the set play, Johnson drives, falling away, hits 2.5 to get it off for Denver. Bobby Jackson out of his hand, through the basket, and he'll have an opportunity for a three-point play. What a heady play by the rookie.
Drew, you see the new rule come into play. You see that dotted line underneath the basket. Monty Williams was not outside of that when he set up for the. The Nuggets are very excited here. Oh, that could have been a charge.
Yeah, it looked like
it could have been a charge.
Looked like Monty Williams was outside of the dotted line, but the Nuggets get the call, and the officials have put 0.3 of a second back on the clock, and Bobby Jackson's going to have a free throw.
I think the official got excited. He enjoyed that play so much. He said, hey, I'm going to give him that shot. That's a beautiful shot.
But Bobby Jackson took a glance and realized that he had enough time to race and perhaps get off a shot closer to the basket. I think a lot of players would have just thrown up the three-pointer from midcourt.
And Bobby with a chance to put the Nuggets up 7 here at halftime.
Bill Hansley coming back with Priest Lauderdale, the big man, down under the defensive hoop.
And Bill explaining right now to referee Joe Forte that you cannot catch and get a shot off in 0.3 of a second.
Bobby Jackson with the big first half, and the Nuggets surprising the favorite San Antonio Spurs 50-43. Bobby Jackson with 13 in the opening half. Let's take a look at the Miller Genuine Draft first half numbers. Dan, what jumps out at you?
Well, again, the free throws really jump out, and the fact that the Nuggets have been able to stay with San Antonio, the much bigger San Antonio Spurs, on the backboard.
Duncan lobs, David Robinson waits, and that is just the second bucket tonight for Robinson. And it's a 5-point game, 50-45. And pass Jackson to Garrett, and Bobby Jackson claiming that it hit a San Antonio Spur. He won't win that argument.
Drew, one of the things that the Nuggets have to focus on is not making the turnovers this half. They can keep the turnovers down. They can win this game.
Well, you can see his strategy very early. Greg Popovich told San Antonio get the ball inside.
That's exactly. I'm sure the halftime speech was, hey guys, we got 2 7-footers on the floor that can play. Let's get the ball inside.
3-point advantage for the Nuggets. A 4-0 run to start things for San Antonio. Jackson from 20. And there's David Robinson blocking out on the defensive glass. Nuggets with Eric Williams, Tony Battie, Dean Garrett up front, Bobby Jackson, and Ryan Stith in the backcourt.
You see the game plan is for Jackson to go double.
And good execution by San Antonio in the half court. The Nuggets will call a 20-second timeout. The Spurs within one.
And right there, Drew, you saw a big mistake by Bobby Jackson. When you run back at Avery, you have to run back under control. You want him to take the shot from the outside. Don't run out on him out of control so that he can take the ball to the basket. You see Bobby go flying by, and that opens up the lane for Avery right to the hoop.
And that's Avery's favorite move to the hoop. That's his favorite. You'll see him take that shot more than any other shot in the game.
That's a great point, Dan, because Bobby Jackson's a young guy, and you said in the first half, Avery Johnson doesn't know how he plays and his moves. The converse, Bobby Jackson might not realize that Avery Johnson really is a reluctant perimeter shooter.
Absolutely. He's a smart player, and he won't take it unless he's wide open and has to take it for the good of his team.
So the Nuggets will try to execute in the half court, looking for their first field goal of the half. Williams to Stiff. Good defense by Del Negro. Dean Garrett, jump by Robinson. 5 to shoot it. The runner by Bobby Jackson, and goaltending is called.
Robinson hit the ball. It was still up. Again, Bobby Jackson showing good court awareness. He knows the 24-second clock is running down, and the ball's still over the rim when Robinson jumps up and touches it.
Nuggets showed a lot of patience on that last offensive series. They moved the ball well. They passed the ball well.
Well, David Robinson pokes it away from Eric Williams. 3-on-2. Duncan to Robinson.
You know, I know Robinson's played only 6 games last year, but does he look like his back is still bothering him? Because he has looked very, very mechanical in this game. Nothing fluid about Robinson's game at all.
He worked out on his back primarily, and his entire body as well, obviously, but over 3 hours a day in the off season. But he still sees a therapist a few times a week to work on his back, and people close to the Spurs organization are saying that it still does get very stiff on him at times. Sean Elliott, quick release. And Brian Stiff gets it away from Tim Duncan. 52-49, the Nuggets by 3. Eric Williams slashes in.
That's why I like Eric Williams. You see, he runs the floor well, and he knows how to finish when he gets the ball.
Del Negro gives it right back to the Admiral. And he's able to finish. And you know what, Dan? On that particular move, you're right. He did look like his back.
He looks like he's still running. He's not bending over. It looks like to me he's playing more straight up than he used to. See, he's still straight up in the air, doesn't bend from the waist at all.
Third personal on Dean Garrett.
Coach Hanslick is trying to get his guys to push the ball up the floor, follow the game plan. Sooner or later, the altitude factor has to take effect with the San Antonio Spurs.
Greg Willard tickets Vinny Del Negro, and Vinny upset because it's number 4, Greg Popovich, not pleased.
And again, he's trying to talk Popovich out of taking him out, but with 4 fouls this early in the third period, Del Negro's going to take a seat.
Nuggets will run a set play. How many set plays did you guys run in the 80s?
Believe it or not, we had quite a few.
They all went to Alex.
I knew that was coming also. Tony Petit. Oh, great pass. And Dean Garrett missed the dunk. Bill Hanslick thought there should have been a foul. Bobby Jackson the steal. He leads a 4-on-1 to reach in by Avery in the backcourt. Actually, a good foul by Avery Johnson. The Nuggets would have had a 4-on-1.
Go back to the other end. A great pass here coming up by Tony Battie, and it looks like Garrett's got a wide open dunk, and looked like a foul from behind by Tim Duncan.
54-52 Denver. Bobby, quick release, partially blocked. Johnson. And Dean Garrett has has another rebound, his 4th of the game.
That's the shot that the Nuggets want Avery Johnson to take. They want to keep him out of the middle. Give him all the jump shots that he wants.
Smith barrels in, erased by Robinson.
Boy, the officials aren't calling anything this time.
Well,
except that one.
They are on Tony Batiste.
Well, again, this is all part of the growing up, the maturing process, getting respect even from the officials. It looked like Stith got fouled there. Then down at the other end, that was a foul. But the officials not giving the Nuggets the respect, and Hanslick realized it.
Well, this has always been a league of earning your respect.
No question about it.
And Dan Issel should know that because he got a lot of respect from the officials.
Are you alluding to the fact that maybe he got more respect than
Take
you
that
did?
tongue out of your cheek.
The Spurs all even with Denver. The Nuggets led by as many as 11 in the first half. Batiste on the low block, spins on Duncan. 9 points for Batiste, the rookie out of Texas Tech.
Dude, the Nuggets need more of that. They need to go into Batiste, look at Dean Garrett inside, try to get some fouls on the big man. They've been settling too quickly for the outside jump shot.
Elliott, the runner.
And on the other end, you see the San Antonio Spurs, they're taking the ball to the hoop. That's how you draw fouls.
Yeah, they didn't shoot the ball very well in the first half, and it's obvious that their game plan here in the second half has been to get to the hole, make the shots easier, put the pressure on the Nuggets defense.
That's going to be a foul on Sean Elliott. Jaren Jackson will come in when we return for San Antonio. The Nuggets 56, the San Antonio Spurs 56. There is LaFonso Ellis, and he is chomping at the bit to wear shorts. In fact, he's been practicing. He played in 2 preseason games, and to be honest, he was very disappointed that he was not activated at the beginning of the year, but he's going to wait 5 games. I imagine he will play a substantial amount of time in Game 6 in Boston.
I think the one reason he was disappointed, Drew, is that was his goal. I mean, he worked extremely hard all summer, and he's not ready to play 100% LaFonso Ellis, but he wanted to be in uniform tonight.
Dean Garrett off to Batiste, and Tony misses from 15 feet away. 56 apiece with 6:30 to go in the third quarter. Avery Johnson against Bobby Jackson. That's been a nice matchup tonight. Ball was kicked out of bounds. They'll reset the 24-second clock.
Overall, Bobby Jackson has been staying in front of Avery Johnson. He's not supposed to let him get down the middle. He got down the middle a few times, but this second half, he's been playing him a lot tougher up at the top. He's not letting him get down the middle like Avery Johnson wants to do.
Chris Lauderdale will come in, and Dean Garrett will go out.
And you see a situational substitution there. Dean Garrett, Coach Hanslick wants him on the floor when Robinson is there. Now that Will Purdue's on the floor, he'll bring in Lauderdale.
Bobby Jackson didn't like the numbers, says we'll set it up. Off to Batiste, 12-footer, give the assist to Bobby Jackson.
And that was a pretty play. Pick and roll, a double team on Jackson. Batiste wide open.
11 for Batiste. Nuggets by 2. Jaren Jackson, the veteran out of Georgetown. Off to Duncan, isolated against Batiste. And Tony, very good defense. Tim Duncan just threw it
That
out.
was a tough shot. The Nuggets couldn't play that anymore.
That's a tough shot, but it also shows the mobility of a 7-footer like Tim Duncan.
Let's pick up the play on the last Nugget possession. Bobby Jackson and Tony Batiste.
See right here, the double team. Duncan's going to jump out, and Batiste rolls. The help comes on the rotation from Monty Williams, but very, very late.
Batiste at the line. Tim Duncan picked up his first foul. And behind roll for Batiste. Tony averaged almost 19 points and almost 12 rebounds a game his junior year at Texas Tech. Of course, he came out after his junior year. Only player in the Big 12 to average a double-double. CU fans remember Tony Petit. He had a 29-point, 17-rebound game against Ricardo Patton's club. Nuggets lead 60-58.
There you see Bobby Jackson keeping him from going down the middle. He needs to get help there.
Williams with 5 to shoot it, and Petit got him on the arm.
I've always liked Monty Williams. That came out of Notre Dame and had a history of some heart problems, kept him out of play a while he was in Notre Dame, and as a result, a late first-round pick for the New York Knicks. But last year, when they had all the injuries on San Antonio's team, Monty Williams got some playing time and proved that he belongs in the NBA.
He averaged 9 points a game last year, by far his best season.
And then watching Monty Williams here with the San Antonio Spurs, after watching him with the New York Knicks, this is the team for him. He didn't fit in well with the Knicks. He didn't get a chance to play much. They shipped him to San Antonio, and he gets a chance to play here. Like you mentioned, the injuries help. He gets a chance to play, and he's doing a very good job.
Nobody wants to come out of games tonight. Tony Petit looked at Bill Hanslick and said, keep me in.
Wait till February. They'll be begging to get out.
Reese Lauderdale had a rest of about 4.5 seconds. 60-60 as Monty Williams buries both free throws. Eric Williams, nothing doing, back to Stiff. Rebounded Johnson, 3-on-3 for the Spurs. Avery blows in, and then he was fouled from behind. On the floor, according to Bruce Alexander, the foul on Stiff.
Avery Johnson, really the type of player that would fit in Bill Hanslick's style perfectly. You see him really pushing the basketball. The reach in by Bryant right there, and Avery goes to the free throw line.
Nuggets are over the limit. 4:56 to go in the third quarter. Avery Johnson was a Nugget for 21 games back in 90-91. Averaged about 3.5 points, 3.5 assists for the Nuggets.
Spurs continue to have their problems at the line, Drew.
Yep, no question about that.
You got to admire Avery's tenacity, because he was in the CBA a couple of times with several different clubs and has found a home in San Antonio, and this past offseason was rewarded with a long-term deal.
Spurs lead by 1. Their first lead since 1-0. Jackson, a fall-away jumper. Boy, he's not afraid, he's not shy, he's not intimidated. You would know it was his first NBA game.
No, and that was a very difficult shot that he made right there.
Well, the Nuggets flip-flop on top by 1. And a push-off on Tim Duncan.
Good defense by Eric Williams, fronting Tim Duncan down low. Frustrating the big man.
Here's the play at the other end. Watch this, stop, back up. He loses Avery, and that's a tough fall-away jump shot from about 20 feet.
Well, he was a combination guard at Minnesota, Alex. He played a lot of 2 and some 1. Jackson with the hold, and then the elaborate description from Bruce Alexander.
I think a lot of people, after seeing Bobby Jackson in Minnesota playing the 2 spot, saying he's too short to be a 2. And the Nuggets saw something in this kid. They traded for him, and he's been a great point guard. He's been the point guard that the Nuggets have been looking for.
You're absolutely right, and that's why he lasted as long as he did. The 23rd pick was because a lot of people didn't think he could play point in the NBA, and certainly if he had to play straight 2, it would be at a terrible disadvantage because of his size.
Will Perdue splashes a couple of free throws through, and it's 63-62 San Antonio. 4 minutes to go in the third. Stiff gets a step, and he was fouled. Monty Williams put his hand in the air. He didn't want Tim Duncan to get the foul. And Joe Forte says, fine, I'll give it to you, Monty.
Well, Brian puts the ball on the floor and has a wide open angle to the baseline, and Monty Williams hits him in the side of the head right there, and that was the foul.
Bryant last year from the line did a marvelous job. He was at 86%, and a good portion of the season he was over 90%.
He's such a solid performer. He's a very quality person, but when he gets out here and play, he does everything well on the floor. He hadn't been shooting the ball well, but that'll come around as the season goes.
San Antonio calls timeout. We're even at 63. Halloween night in Denver. Good crowd at McNichols tonight. Drew Goodman, Alex English, Dan Issel. The Nuggets tied with San Antonio at 63. Let's take a look at the target hustle board for the evening. Block shots, San Antonio with the 2 7-footers. Rebound advantage to the Spurs. Pretty even in steals. Close on the hustle board, close on the scoreboard. And Brian Stitt will have one more free throw. A couple of Dan Issel's relatives in attendance, Alex.
Mom and Dad are here.
Get that rebound! Let's go!
So off the miss, Avery Johnson brings it up. Carl Herrera, David Robinson up front with Monty Williams. Jaren Jackson out there as well for San Antonio. Herrera to the hook. He got a lot of playing time last year also.
Well, he did because of the injuries again, but that is his game right there. He lives on the low post. The Nuggets, if he catches the ball that close, are going to have to double team and make him give the basketball up.
Williams now face up on Herrera. And he got in a little too deep. Put it up underneath the hoop. Spurs by 2. Williams off to Avery. And Johnson got cute with the pass, and Johnny Newman picked it off, and David Robinson knocked him down.
You know, the Nuggets have to take advantage of the lineup that's on the floor for the Spurs right now, because the Spurs don't have any outside shooters. That's why they keep dribbling the ball and passing it around the interior, and finally the Nuggets come up with the steal. But San Antonio without an outside shooter on the floor right now.
San Antonio in the penalty as well. Two personals on David Robinson. And Johnny Newman gets the Nuggets within 1. Johnny with 10 points now.
We haven't heard much from David Robinson this quarter.
Really for the game. David Robinson with 11 points. With just 3 of 9 from the floor. He has 8 rebounds. 65-65. Jackson in and out. Fortson saves it for Bobby Jackson. That's another thing Bobby Jackson does. He's a pretty good rebounder for a guy 6 foot.
That was a very difficult shot, and probably want a few more passes before the shot comes up in a tie basketball game.
Especially at this point in the game.
Williams and Fortson thought he had all basketball, and a late whistle by Joe Forte.
And once again, the Spurs don't have anybody who can shoot from the outside, so you know San Antonio's going to try to take the ball to the basket, and it looked like all ball right there. Let's take another look at it, see if Monty Williams is actually fouled. A lot of basketball on that play.
His career high last April against Denver. He had 30 points.
The Spurs continue to have problems at the line.
And they're not the only ones, Alex. The free throw percentage in the NBA has definitely been on the decline the last several years. They don't have very many good free throw shooters in the league anymore.
Do you think they're not working on it in practice enough, or are these guys just bad shooters?
I think they're bad shooters. You don't see pure shooters as much as you used to. Everybody wants to get to the basket and try to dunk it.
Outside of maybe Glenn Rice, Del Curry, and a couple others, not too many great shooters left in the league. Spurs by 1, Fortson. And a good thing Danny drew contact there.
Also the Spurs number 50, David Robinson.
Phil Hansick explaining the play to us here. We'll take another look as they drop it down low to Danny Fortson. He goes to the basket and gets fouled.
And the Admiral picks up his third. Nice of Bill to drop by.
Yeah, Bill stopped by and explained what was going on for us.
We should mic. Maybe we should.
That might not be a good idea.
And one of the things that the rookies have shown us this game is that they're not afraid to take the ball to the hoop. On that play, we saw Fortson go in. We've seen Petit do it. Jackson has done it consistently tonight, and they're not in awe. And that was one of the keys that we talked about earlier.
Bobby Jackson told me earlier today, he said, I have a few butterflies, he said, but I'm confident. I feel like I belong. The runner no good, followed up by David Robinson. And a 2-point San Antonio lead, 68-66 with a minute 25 to go in the third. Brian Stitt, that's a triple. It's the second triple of the basketball game. Teams aren't shooting. I guarantee you that the shots from three-point land will go down precipitously from what we saw the last couple of years.
Very much so.
Off in the corner, the jumper no good from Corey Alexander. And a good strong rebound from Jackson to Robinson.
The Spurs are beating the Nuggets to the boards here on the offensive board. Getting the second shot. The Nuggets have to put some bodies on these guys. David Robinson got it last time, and you see Herrera and Jackson do it this time.
Fortson against Herrera, works his way in. Who does he remind you of?
He's awfully strong on the low post. I guess Calvin Knapp was the last Denver Nugget that was that strong on the low post.
That had that kind of power. I was thinking the same thing.
71-70, Denver by 1. 5 to shoot it. And a three-pointer from Jaren Jackson.
One shot here for the Nuggets.
73-71 San Antonio.
They need to get a good look at the basket this time.
Fortson leaves it off, and Garrett couldn't get it to go. And that is it. 3 chapters closed on opening night at Big Mac. San Antonio down 7 at the break. Now lead by 2. 73-71 as we head off to the fourth quarter. Up in the third quarter was on the glass.
Yeah, absolutely. Remember, we said earlier, as long as the Nuggets could stay with San Antonio on the glass, they could stay in the game. San Antonio out-rebounding the Nuggets by 10 in that quarter.
Alexander Del Negro on the backcourt, partially blocked by Garrett. It was shot by Robinson, but it came to Jaren Jackson. Fortson, Garrett, Johnny Newman, Goldwire, Stiff on the floor for Denver, and San Antonio will get a third opportunity, and David Robinson starting to get in the groove.
And 2 offensive rebounds there, and you give San Antonio 3 cracks at it, they're going to score.
17 for the Admiral. It was 1 of 6 at halftime. The Spurs with their biggest lead, they're up 4. Fortson against Herrera. Robinson the double team, and Danny shows the fall away.
Well, that was a good move by Fortson because Robinson was coming to double team, and so he stepped away from the double team and shot the fall away jumper.
Herrera, that's goaltending. Give Carl Herrera the bucket.
That was not a smart play.
That's a pretty easy call right there. Herrera on the low post, and you can see the ball obviously on the way down and over the rim when Dean Garrett hit it.
So other than that, it was a good play?
Other than over the rim and coming on down, then it wasn't a bad block.
Stiff another 3. And Johnny Newman has it. Eric Williams will come in next whistle. Newman slashes. He got all the way to the lid, couldn't finish. Denver needs a stop. Minute and a half gone into the fourth quarter. David Robinson.
He's getting
unstoppable.
hot now.
Yeah,
that's unstoppable.
Yeah, good call by Hans. He wants the timeout. You know, Robinson is one of those players, 7 foot tall, that he'd be a pretty good basketball player if he was 6'6".
You know, I've always said if you're sitting up in the rafters and you see David Robinson on the floor, you might think he was 6'5" or 6'6". 79-73 Spurs. Nuggets trail here by 6. Tony Battie gives it to Eric Williams. Eric fadeaway, drops it through, just his second bucket in the second half.
And David Robinson sat down during that last timeout, and it's a good thing. He's 6 out of 8 in the second half.
Well, you knew he would get rolling at some point.
Through the difference in the Spurs this quarter, they're getting the offensive rebounds. They're running their offense. The Nuggets aren't putting bodies on them. They've got to put their bodies on them, stop them, block them out.
Keep Carl Herrera from getting position 3 feet.
That's the only shot he can score on right there. And they need to double team Herrera when he's that low.
Nuggets with 6 to shoot it. Eric Williams. Boy, he can get his shot off, can't he, Alex?
I told you this kid is a scorer. I was very surprised to see the Boston Celtics get rid of him.
Takes the ball to the basket hard. You see he draws the contact right there. Take another look at it. The contact, and then he goes ahead and follows through, and he has a chance for another 3-point play.
And there's a difference between being a shooter and a scorer, isn't there?
It's a difference, and this kid is a scorer. He finds every way he can to get the ball in the hoop. If it's not a jump shot, he's taking it to the basket, and he's not afraid. He's not afraid to contact.
And he's going to get a number of points every night from the free throw line because he's excellent at drawing the foul.
That's his first miss from the line tonight. He's 5 of 6. 19 points for Eric Williams to lead the Nuggets. Bobby Jackson back out on the floor, harassing Corey Alexander.
Nuggets need to double down.
Sean Elliott. That is a three-pointer. 84-77 San Antonio.
I think San Antonio, they're getting in the groove now. They're hitting inside, outside. That time they doubled down on Herrera, and Sean Elliott got the shot outside.
I guarantee you they had no idea they were going to see this kind of effort from the Nuggets when they came in here tonight.
4 rookies, and the only rookie we haven't seen is Eric Washington, who Bill Hanslick really likes a lot. Second-round pick out of Alabama. Vinny Del Negro strokes it, and the Nuggets better cut this off right here. It's 86-77. Nuggets, if you're just joining us, led at halftime by 7, as much as 11 in the second quarter. Williams has it rejected. Battie tracks it down. 7 to shoot it. I don't know if the Nuggets realize that.
They do now.
Now 1, and it'll be a 24-second violation unless they put more time on the clock. Nope, 24-second violation.
The Nuggets offense is getting stagnant down here.
And Hans signaling out to Bruce Alexander that he thought there was a foul on that play.
Well, with the up-tempo style, you want to win far more than you lose, particularly at altitude, as the Nuggets try to turn things around, Alex.
They do. And, one of the things that they've got to do is take advantage of the altitude factor late in the game. I don't see the Nuggets looking as fresh as they did in the last quarter.
But let's face it, guys. I mean, this is a pretty good basketball team. Before they had all the injuries last year, 2 seasons ago, they had a record of 59-23, basically the same team, and they've added the number 1 pick in the draft in Tim Duncan to it. So this is a pretty good test for the young Nugget team.
There's a breakdown by quarters, the 30-point third quarter for San Antonio that erased the deficit, and a 13-6 start in the opening 4.5 of the fourth quarter. Johnny Newman had the foul. Elliott from 15 feet. San Antonio now shooting 54%.
And the Nuggets drew at 39%. It's going to be difficult to beat this Spurs team with that discrepancy in the field goal percentage.
Bobby Jackson hangs and hits. He has had a wonderful opening night. 19 points for Jackson. And he also has 5 rebounds.
Nuggets basketball on the side.
Greg Popovich also carries the general manager title in San Antonio.
And you know, I was glad that Greg came back this year. I had a chance to do a couple of the Spurs games last year with a team that really had no business playing in the NBA, and they were very competitive. They played hard. He struggled through that year with this team, and he's going to enjoy the fruits of that this season.
Williams gets it back.
Now you can see the fatigue starting to set in. All the Nuggets standing around.
Brian Stiff raked on the arm. Greg Willard with the delayed whistle.
Dude, the last 3 times down the floor, Ed Williams has been the one that's taken the shot.
And I think we'll see a lot of that in fourth quarters.
Right now, Brian Stiff takes the ball hard to the goal. That's what Brian does best, put the ball on the floor and get inside. There aren't very many 2 guards in the league that can stop him when he's got a head of steam.
Nuggets can get within 6 here. If you look at the line on Stiff tonight, David Robinson comes back in for Greg Popovich. Carl Herrera will go out. Bryant's in his 6th year now, and that's got to seem strange to you, Dan.
Well, I can remember very clearly about 5 years ago when we played the same San Antonio Spurs team in this building opening night, and Alonzo Ellis and Brian Stiff were rookies.
Of course, Alex, you remember when Dan had teeth, too, so the time does fly. Duncan gets the roll, and that was a tough shot. San Antonio back up by 8.
The Nuggets played good defense on that series.
13 for the number 1 pick in the draft, Tim Duncan. Stiff gets doubled, goes up anyhow. A lot of contact, no whistle. Del Negro out of the pack. Robinson against Garrett, gets it back to Johnson. Oh, that's a beautiful play.
Pretty play, and that is a great example of what we were talking about earlier, that Robinson, a great player. He's just not 7 foot tall. He can play. Nice bounce pass to Avery Johnson for the layup.
And he and Avery, they've been playing together so long that they know what each other's doing on the floor.
Stiff off the screen. Nuggets within 8. If it's going to happen, it has to happen on this end of the floor for Denver. They have to get a few stops.
Yeah, they can't. They've gotten a position now under 5 minutes to go. They can't afford to trade baskets.
Robinson, wild shot, but Duncan there to clean it up. And Robinson missed 3 7-footers missed from point-blank range. David Robinson helping to pick up Tony Battie, who got stepped on.
And not only do the Nuggets have to stop them down here, but they've got to go in and get the rebound. San Antonio's beating them on the offensive glass here.
Dump into Robinson. Takes about 3 Nuggets to the basket. He misses, Tim Duncan misses, and Robinson misses.
Back live, San Antonio turned it over off the inbound. And the Nuggets have an opportunity to get it to 6. Bobby Jackson, Brian Stiff, Battie, Eric Williams, Dean Garrett up front for Denver. Bill Hansley calling out he wants the passing game. But there haven't been that many passes the last few possessions.
Well, and from that wide shot right there, you can see that the Nuggets are not cutting as crisply as they were. A lot more standing around as the young Nugget team gets tired.
You're right, Dan. You're seeing a lot of one-on-one here, and that's not what Bill Hansley wants. He wants them to run the passing game, push the ball up the floor, and the Nuggets, they look a little sluggish here.
The Nuggets pick up a 3/4 court. Rebounds now a big disparity, plus 14 for the Spurs. Tim Duncan continues to have turnover problems.
That is not a play that Dan Issel would have made.
He tried to make a great play there and threw it about 4 rows up.
Interestingly enough, the Nuggets with just 12 turnovers, the Spurs have 17. The Spurs by 8, just under 4 minutes to go.
This is a set play with the screen down on the baseline, and San Antonio defends it very well.
Screen and roll with Garrett. Nuggets having trouble getting out of the double team. 7 to shoot it. The rejection by Robinson, but T waits. He's fouled as Duncan goes up. Dean Garrett says finally David Robinson can't believe there was a whistle.
And Coach Hanslick agrees with him. It's about time. He's been calling for the foul this whole quarter here, and he's finally getting one.
And the Nuggets take the ball to the basket. Garrett gets blocked on the first one. That could have been a foul. And Battie and Robinson was upset that that was called a foul. I thought they both could have been called fouls. A lot of body on the first one against Garrett. And Robinson can't believe it.
Glad to see David finally got in shape in the offseason, huh? Is he unbelievable? And Battie misses both free throws. He had been 3 of 3. It was an opportunity to get it to 6. Instead, Del Negro makes it 10, maybe 11. And Bill Hanslick not pleased with that.
Well, Bill's going to have to get used to this because, as we talked earlier, it's about gaining respect, and this Nugget team can, but right now, around the league, not very many people respecting the Denver Nugget basketball team. Vinny Del Negro, an easy layup, and that was a silly foul for Garrett to even get close enough for the call to be made.
On Del Negro. 10-point lead for San Antonio, 3:08 left.
The Spurs continue to beat the Nuggets on the offensive board.
Here's a steal by Stith, open floor, Johnson to beat. Great play.
Well, Brian Stith is the type of player that will come up with those big defensive plays for you. Now the Nuggets are in 8.
86, 2:52 left. The Nuggets will apply full court pressure here. Duncan gets it into Avery Johnson. Now they're going to double him. San Antonio handles the trap. Stith and Jackson out there. Dean Garrett, Tony Battie, and Eric Williams. Duncan trapped, and
they're going to say he was pushed out of bounds.
That looked like a good defensive play to me. They stopped him on the baseline.
Take another look at it as Tim Duncan goes baseline, the double team, and Battie had the hand in the small of his back. It probably wasn't enough force to get him out of bounds, but the official saw the hand, the left hand in the back.
Now San Antonio being wise, using a lot of clock. Duncan to turn around, and the rebound of Bobby Jackson.
That's the one thing that impressed me most about Bobby Jackson and looking at his preseason stats. He averaged 5 rebounds a game.
He did that in college, better than 6 rebounds a game. Here's Garrett, and he hesitated, and David Robinson affected the shot.
David Robinson standing in front of you will do that.
Battie gambles. Robinson makes him pay. 10-point lead for San Antonio. Now the Nuggets will need a small miracle.
Well, now you have to start thinking about the three-point shot. You don't have to force one, but if it comes up in the offense, you got to take it.
Jackson using a lot of clock. Step away. 19-footer.
Nothing but the bottom. 21 for Bobby Jackson. The foul on Brian Stith at the other end. 96-88.
And the intentional foul. San Antonio still not in the bonus situation, so it'll simply be inbounding the ball on the side.
Nuggets have to do a good job of stopping them here.
Here's Duncan. A lot of contact with Battie and a whistle. So Duncan will go to the line. Well, let's take a look at tomorrow's headlines tonight, brought to you by the Denver Post. The Nuggets begin a new era under General Manager Alan Bristow, head coach Bill Hanslick. Chauncey Billups' debut must have been pretty good if Boston beat Chicago. And complete high school coverage, Friday Night Football. It's the final week of the regular season in high school football. Tim Duncan makes good on the front end, 97-88 and 98-88. Duncan with 15 points in the basketball game. 15 points, 10 rebounds. Pretty strong debut. He's 6 of 9 from the floor. Jackson a three. He has this one as well. Nuggets within 7. And a minute 2 to go.
Hands calling for the foul, and pretty good strategy as poorly as San Antonio has shot from the free throw line. They're just 18 out of 28 tonight. And so Hanslick wants to make Spurs win it. Go back to Bobby Jackson, and a nice little pump dribble there. Got Vinny Del Negro backpedaling.
And the one thing you can say about Bobby Jackson, again, he is not afraid. He is not in awe.
18 for Avery Johnson, which is far more than he generally scores. 19 last year, he averaged 10.5 points. The Nuggets call timeout, 100-91 with 1:02 left in regulation. Well, Tim Duncan, much heralded college player, and the focus will be on Tim Duncan wherever he goes this year. Dan, you like him a lot, though.
I really do, and I think there's 4 reasons, Drew, that Tim Duncan will be the Rookie of the Year. He obviously has the talent. He has a maturity level. Unlike a lot of talented players today, he stayed in college all 4 years. He has a great mentor in David Robinson, not only in terms of basketball skills, but in how to conduct yourself as a professional basketball player. And it's not very often that the #1 pick in the draft gets a chance to play on one of the best teams in the NBA, and that's what San Antonio is going to be this year.
I mean, with the talent they have on the floor, you have to believe that they have an opportunity to win 60-plus games again.
Well, as I said earlier, year before last, before all of the injuries, they won 57 games with basically this same team, and now they get to add a Tim Duncan. 60 wins is not out of the question.
You know, one of the interesting sidebars to this season for the San Antonio Spurs, before David Robinson arrived, well, he was finishing his military commitment to the Navy. They were a poor basketball team. When he played his first year, they improved by 35 games, which is an NBA record. Last year, San Antonio won 20. I think that record may stay in San Antonio, but it may go up from 35.
I agree with you, Drew. I think that the addition of Tim Duncan, David Robinson coming back, Sean Elliott, they are going to be a great team this year.
Well, the Nuggets with 1:02 left. Now, virtually every possession, they have to look at the three, don't they, Alex?
They have to look at the three, and I'm sure you're going to see Bobby Jackson going more one-on-one. Eric Williams looking for the three. Brian Stith looking for the three.
Well, Bobby Jackson has knocked one down from three-point range. Brian Stith has knocked one down from three-point range. Into Garrett, set play over to Jackson out of the corner, and he stepped out of bounds.
You run the three-point play over there in the corner. There isn't much room to operate down there. You've just got that small 2.5, 3-foot lane, and Bobby stepped on the out-of-bounds line.
Avery gets it off to Sean Elliott.
now San Antonio will try to play keep away. The reach-in foul, Eric Williams taps Del Negro. And with 48 seconds left, this one is no longer in doubt. San Antonio, 100, the Nuggets 91, but they did some good things tonight, Alex.
They did a lot of good things. I think the fans in Denver, they've got to be excited about this team. These players, they came to play. They played well. I think that the rookies that you've got out on the floor, Bobby Jackson, Tony Batiste, they're going to be great players in this league one day. And as they get the maturity, as the team gets used to each other, they get used to running the pass game, they are going to surprise a lot of teams.
Dan, tough start for a new coach with so many young players. After San Antonio, the Nuggets go to Utah tomorrow night, a game we'll have on Channel 2. And then Washington, Utah, the Knicks, Boston, Orlando, Miami, and the Knicks, Boston, Orlando, Miami on the road.
The whole month of November is very difficult, and you know what you don't want to have happen is to have this young team become discouraged. Bill Hanslick has got a big job on his hands, keeping this team up and into every basketball game.
Jackson against Corey Alexander. 35 left in the game, 10-point deficit. Followed up and in by Batiste. So Tony flushes it down. 15 for Batiste in his debut. Williams has to foul, and he does not, and San Antonio gets it across. The Nuggets wasted about 5 seconds before they fouled Corey Alexander. Well, as I said, where's Rodney Rogers when you need him?
3 3-pointers in a row. Bobby Jackson just missed that one. A little short, but Batiste there to follow up.
He's a 6'11 guy that has good hops and a long wingspan. He's going to be able to block some shots as well as produce on the offensive end.
T.R. Dunn said he reminds him a lot of Wayne Cooper. He's a great shot blocker. He's got a lot of skills. He's a Wayne Cooper with a lot more skills than Wayne Cooper had.
103-93 with 22 seconds left. He's a little more athletic, I would imagine, than Coop.
A lot more athletic, but does a lot of the same things. He's got a nice jump shot, nice turnaround jump shot. He blocks shots, and he runs the floor well.
And you might say, well, with a 10-point deficit in only 22.8 seconds, why would the Nuggets take a timeout here? This is what this year is going to be about. It's a teaching situation. This game could be a 2-point game, and in that case, Hans would want to run a play where he could get the player the shot that he wants, and I think you're going to see an awful lot of this year with the Nuggets.
That's a good point. Let's take a look at our key bank play of the game. And in the second half, Dan, the Spurs went to the glass and they went inside to their 2 7-footers.
And they really didn't take advantage of the height difference inside in the first half. The Nuggets had the 7-point lead at halftime. But in the second half, the offensive rebounds, the second opportunities, and the big fellas did their job.
And that was called goaltending. The Nuggets and David Robinson got the bucket. That was our key bank play of the game. David Robinson with 21 points, most of those in the second half, led the Spurs after the break. 103-93, San Antonio by 10.
You saw David Robinson give Batiste a little pat on the butt there, saying, "Okay, young fella, you've got a long career. Get up."
Do you know what? I was impressed that David Robinson helped off. How many guys in the middle of the game? That was not a timeout. The whistle hadn't blown. Actually helped an opponent up.
Yeah, there's probably more guys in the league that would have stepped on him than helped him up.
David Robinson is one of the all-time great class acts in the NBA.
A guy who's familiar with Colorado. He spends his off seasons at his home in Aspen. 22 seconds left for Bill Hanslick. Said it was kind of similar to being a player, the butterflies you have before a big game. Did you feel that, Dan, when you took over?
Yeah, the difference is, you have your assistant coaches, but there's a lot, a bigger feeling of being out there by yourself than when you were a player.
Jackson again showing his range. It's a 7-point game. And the reach in on Reggie Geary.
You see the Spurs have gone to a smaller lineup to get the ball up the floor now.
27 points for Bobby Jackson in his debut.
And the interesting thing, Drew and Alex, is that everybody in the arena knows who's going to be taking the shots, and Jackson's still able to get them off and make them.
One of the many problems with the Nuggets last year, they couldn't create their own shot. Here's a guy who can create his own shot.
He can create it. Eric Williams can create. I think the fans, they've got to be very pleased with what they've seen here tonight. These players came out, they hustled, they worked hard, and they competed for 3 quarters.
Gary gets it back. He thought he drew the foul. That's why I think he threw it right up. Carl Herrera has it. And 9 seconds to go. Dan, I thought you made a great point in that the Nuggets can't get discouraged the first couple of weeks of the season because it will be difficult.
It's going to be very difficult. Tomorrow night, getting to play Utah at their home opener, going to be a difficult game. They come home next week and play the Wizards and Utah again, and then go on that 4-game East Coast trip. Very difficult schedule early on.
And Denver turns it over and punts the ball to the other end of the floor. I thought he'd be minus $500 for that, but not yet.
Well, he kicked it because he was upset with his team. If he had kicked it because he was upset with the call, that would have been an easy 500.
7 seconds left. San Antonio plays back-to-back, and Geary hits the jumper. They'll go home tomorrow to play Cleveland, and then they'll play the Chicago Bulls in Chicago on Monday. Well, year number 31 of the Denver Nuggets basketball franchise gets off on the wrong note, but they played a very good team in San Antonio. 107-96, the final score. The Spurs behind the Admiral knock off Denver on opening night.